Oh, if you are a young man in between the ages of like 18 to 26, tap in real quick, bro. Let me talk to you. If you know a young man in this age group, send them this video. Look, bro, I'm not here to tell you where you should land politically on issues. That's not my job. I'm not here to tell you who the good guys are, the bad guys are, who you should or shouldn't be voting for. This next part is controversial. I'm not even going to tell you whose podcast you should be listening to or not listening to or nothing like that. You're a man. You're a grown ass man. You're going to figure all of that out for yourself. But let me put you on with something as you're trying to figure that out. There are people that are trying to talk to you about politics and they're doing something important. They're conflating cruelty with masculinity. They're trying to tell you that a core ingredient of masculinity and the masculinity of your politics is malice, because that's how alphas are. Right? There's a little cruelty to their approach to immigrants, people who shouldn't be in this country. There's a little cruelty towards women. There's a little cruelty. There's a dominance over the weak. That's why it's one thing to see people trying to kick folks out this country. It's another thing to have the president posting memes making fun of people who are getting families who are getting displaced, right? There's a demonstration of indecent delight. And let me tell you, masculinity ain't about cruelty. Masculinity is about confidence, bro. By the way, women love it when they can sense compassion in your masculinity because there's confidence in compassion. There's a confidence in saying, I want the politics that I support to really actually help people who can't get it like how I get it, because I'm a man, I'm gonna get mine. So let's focus on taking care of people who not gonna get it the way I'm getting it. You feel me? And remember this, there's cowardice in the politics of cruelty. And all real men can see it. Women see through it too, by the way. What happened is the systems and structures that were supposed to be put in place for you failed you. They failed you. And people have been waiting on you to be emotionally, socially, and financially vulnerable so that they can convince you that your enemy is everybody but them. It's women, it's queer people, it's Mexicans, it's trans people. Those are your enemy. But the truth is, your enemy is a system that sold you out. Your enemy is an economic system that mortgaged your future for the present. And it offshored and offloaded American workers and abandoned the American worker. And there was no compassion in it. And now it's asking you to abandon compassion for cruelty. Just tap in, bro. When you're listening to stuff online, just tap in. Y'all gonna be all right.
I give up, bro. I'm ready to just, you feel me? I'm ready to just fake it like everybody else in the world, because nothing gonna change. It's like, however, how much real shit you speak on this app, or whatever app you speak on, bro. Bro, this is a sad reality that nothing will happen. They released these files, they released everything. Bro, nothing will happen, bro. People still gonna go to work, bro. Still gotta go to work. They gonna pay these bills, bro. They gonna still support, bro. Every fucking industry still. Bro, nothing will change, bro. Like, that's a sad reality, bro. This shit is, oh man, I don't even know, bro.
I ain't gonna lie, being a black man is probably the hardest thing you can be, bro. We gotta deal with racist cops, racist white folks, our own women say we ain't shit. We funk with each other because the nigga stare too hard or whatever, bro. It's just like, damn, nigga, we a big ass target, my nigga. Everybody wanna kill us, including us. Like, everybody want to be like us, but don't want to be in our situations. It's just like, goddamn, bruh. Without black men, the world ain't satisfied. They need us to set trends and what's cool and be like us, but don't nobody want to be us at the end of the day. They don't want to deal with what we got to deal with as black men. This shit hard, nigga. We got a motherfucking target on our back. So shit. If you a real nigga, you know what I'm saying, love one another. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying you got to be cool with niggas. I understand niggas got enemies and all this extra shit. But if you cool with this black person, they ain't never did nothing to you, bro, nigga, fuck. Multiplying numbers, goddamn. Shit.
understand why racist people in the United States do the things they do and support the things they support, it's important to know what servile insurrection is. I encourage you to Google servile insurrection. But basically, it's this idea white people generations ago cooked up that if black and brown people were to ever have freedom and power and equity, the black and brown people would seek retribution on white people for what they have done for generations and generations. That's the first part of servile insurrection. The second part is because they believe that black and brown people would seek retribution and vengeance for what white people have done. The second part of servile insurrection is that it's the white person's responsibility to make sure black and brown people never see freedom, never truly get equity, and never get power within the United States or the world. Servile insurrection is a big part of why racist people do the things they do, why they support the things they support. In jest, the concept basically says if you give them an inch, they will take a mile. It's based on insecurity and it's based on fear. And just so you understand how we're not so removed from staunch servile insurrectionists, it's this logic that fuels people who were against integration. And I'm saying that because I just talked to my grandfather this morning. He's my best friend, and he went to segregated schools, and he voted in this last election. You know who else voted in this last election? People who protested the integration of schools. They're sitting, while my grandfather is talking to me about social progress at the dinner table during the holidays, their grandfathers and grandmothers are at the table telling them to continue being servile insurrectionists. That if you give these black and brown people an inch, they will take them out. They're talking to their grandchildren that are my age. They are talking to their great-grandchildren that would be my children's age. We are not so far removed from this very insecure and fear-based logic.
I realize, bro, if you live a private life, mind your business, and look happy while doing it, go ahead and get ready to suit up, bro. Because the avalanche of different types of weird shit that's going to come from half the people you meet in this world is ridiculous, gang. I ain't going to lie to you. It's like people will go to war with you about your peace.
Just stay in the house. At this point, as crazy as this society is, just stay in the house, bro. Start cooking at home. Go to work. Get some gas. And stay at home. I don't go outside unnecessarily. I ain't just outside just let me find something to do. Why? In this society, in this climate, you ain't gonna fool me. I'm in the house. All right? So, hey, we got to use some wisdom out here. The problem is y'all getting done up because you're outside too much. Learn to stay inside sometimes. It ain't nothing outside. What's out there? Learn to sit down. That's when you learn to sit down, you're going to save yourself from a world of trouble. That's the problem with some of y'all. Y'all don't know how to sit. Y'all don't know how to sit down and stay in the house. Us people that's in the house that know how to go get somewhere and sit down, oh, we're going to be watching y'all. We're going to be watching y'all on TV. That's stupid, yeah. Yeah. Let me turn this over.
One of the reasons the NBA is struggling is that they're losing their ability to profit off of America's racism. For better or worse, viewing sports as a race war sells, and I think this is something that the NFL has done a great job at. The NFL has some of the most absurd segregation per position. Defensive linemen are overwhelmingly black, while quarterbacks are overwhelmingly white. This leads every week to 4 to 5 of the biggest, strongest players who happen to be black going to try to take the head off of a smaller, less physically imposing white player. Even the language we use to describe these defensive players is steeped in racialized words. They're violent, animalistic, all while the quarterbacks are smart and calculating. What these depictions represent is the subconscious strengthening of the racialized image we have of black men in America. The NBA, on the other hand, has been suffering from the fact that the typical average white player has basically gone extinct. Before very recently, there was a common archetype in the NBA, a suburban white player who was a great shooter, talked trash, and rarely drove to the basket. JJ Redick, Kyle Korver, and the list truly goes on. This allowed your average suburban white family to imagine themselves within the NBA. Sure, their kids weren't as strong or fast, but they could shoot, and they were smart, and they worked hard. And in those players, they were able to see themselves. White fans didn't just relate to these players, they used them as proxies as a way to go against a hyper-masculine view of black men. Black men were stronger and faster and tougher, but white players were smarter and sneaky athletic and more skilled. The problem was, European players came, and they were more skilled than everyone. So now the white players that were able to build allegiances and fan bases are replaced with some that feel, well, a little bit more foreign. Yeah, these players like Luka and Jokic are more skilled than the average NBA player, and they're technically white, but their experience is now completely different than that of the typical American white high schooler who played in high school, wasn't as physically imposing, but was a great shooter. So not only has the NBA lost the familiarity that the white players in America are able to relate to, they also lose the aspect of having the racial war. And for those that doubt this theory, simply look at what happened with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Their feud on national TV led to an almost outright race war on Twitter. But that in turn led to some of the largest increases in viewership of women's basketball ever. So that really poses the question, is the NBA struggling because it's not feeding more into the uniquely racially polarized moment of today? I don't know, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I know why I don't argue with these Trump supporters in my comments. Because they don't care what he did. Y'all seen that other Trump supporter that said he don't care if there was 114-year-old girls that come forward and all their stories were 100% accurate. Still let him be the president. They can catch him in 4K on camera doing these things, which they have, and they're still going to make excuses for him. This is why I don't want to talk to people like that. I'm never going to argue with him because they don't care.
Almost every man is tested by the same thing, his relationship with insecurity, because nobody tells him that test never really ends. Not when he gets the job, not when he gets the girl, not when he buys the house, not even when he becomes the version of himself he swore would finally feel safe. And that's the part that nobody prepares him for, because he keeps moving forward believing that relief is waiting somewhere ahead. But when he finally gets there, the silence is all that's waiting for him. He thought applause would secure him. He thought the ring would get his life right. He thought the money would clear up the ache. He thought respect would finally make the dreams go away. And sometimes he gets all of it. Everything he said he needed, everything he was chasing, everything he sacrificed, sleep, softness, and years for. And still, when that room goes quiet, something inside him whispers like a monster. Is this enough? Am I enough? That whisper, it hits him like a truck, because that emptiness, the hollowness after the achievement, the realization that even if you do everything right, that nobody's coming to tell you you can rest. No one tells him that. No one tells you that. No one tells you that you're safe now at the end. No one tells you that you don't have to prove yourself anymore at the end, because he thought that safety was earned, that worth was earned, that love was earned. So guess what he did? He kept earning and earning and earning. He wakes up early. He works longer than everybody else. He lives heavier than everybody else. He talks less. But guess where he always pushes? Harder. Because somewhere along the way, he learned that stopping felt dangerous. That stopping, that rest itself was dangerous. That stillness itself was exposure. And insecurity does not retire when success comes. I promise you. It simply changes shape. It becomes fear of losing what you build. That's what it becomes. It becomes fear of being replaced. It becomes fear of being exposed. Fear that someone will finally discover that you were never as solid as you pretended to be. And that fear is devastating, because it means that the house he built to feel secure was always sitting on sand. No one ever told him that, though. No one ever told him that performance couldn't hold a soul together forever. forever. So instead, instead of outside tired, he's inside tired. He's tired of pretending that the weight doesn't exist. Tired of scanning every room for comparison. Tired of wondering that if love would remain if status was gone. I'm just trying to tell you what it's like. Tired of feeling like even at his best, he's one mistake away from becoming invisible again. It's just hard. But this is where the conversation actually turns. Because while he's fighting that fear quietly inside his chest, the world is watching him carefully. Women are afraid of an insecure man. They are. They absolutely are. Guess who else is afraid? Men! Men are afraid of an insecure man. Not because insecurity itself is monstrous, but because everyone has seen what happens when pain turns into desperation. The boyfriend who couldn't accept goodbye, the friend who snapped on you, the man who mistook humiliation for injustice. I'm just telling you about how many examples. Fear grows around the possibility, and suddenly the man who was hurting becomes something unbearable. He is not only alone with this fear, he's feared for having it. So imagine having to survive in a world where people stand at a distance making sure that you don't bleed on them. So guess what he does? He hides deeper. He laughs louder. He postures harder. He controls more. Because admitting fear starts to feel like a confessing guilt. Starts to feel like he's confessing guilt. And women are not wrong for wanting safety. Stop talking like that. Fear is not irrational, but neither is the grief of realizing that the place that you hope might understand your pain is usually bracing against you. Bracing itself for you. I'm just telling you what it is. That tension breaks something inside of a lot of men. Because even now, tenderness feels dangerous. Even longing feels suspicious. And asking for reassurance feels like weakness could cost him everything. So he tries perfection. He tries to think thoughts like this. If I never fail, if I provide enough, if I never look uncertain, then maybe I'll finally feel safe to love. But perfection does not secure him, because insecurity was never about failure. It was about belonging. And belonging cannot be earned through exhaustion. It can't. It cannot. That is the horror. That is the horror right there. The grief that many men were never allowed to say that out loud, never allowed to say these words out loud. I am scared that I will never feel secure. Hold on. I am scared winning won't fix it. I am scared there's no finish line. That's what a lot of people have to sit with, because it's deeply human. Millions of men carry that daily, looking completely fine. Because the horror is not insecurity itself. The horror is that we taught men to fight it alone. That is the horror of it. To armor up instead of reaching out. To dominate instead of confess. To achieve instead of grieve. And insecurity was never the enemy. It was the belief that you must defeat it to deserve love. That was the lie. You were never supposed to secure yourself so completely that nothing could ever touch you. That was never supposed to be a thing. You were supposed to be human. But maybe the most radical thing that a man can do is not eliminate insecurity, but to actually sit with it. Let your insecurity speak. Let it soften you instead of hurting you. I want you to understand you can finally say, I am hurting, I am jealous, I am afraid, and you can just stay. You can just stay. But I don't want you to misunderstand. Becoming an honest man does not make life easier. It sure don't. People will still leave. Plans will still fail. He will still misunderstand people. He will still be misunderstood. I want you to get that through your head. Honesty does not stop grief from arriving. It does not protect you from disappointment. Life does not suddenly go right, but it does go honestly. It goes honestly. You'll no longer wake up rehearsing strength. You'll no longer negotiate love through performance. You'll no longer abandon yourself just to be accepted for a version of yourself that never existed. Things may still fall apart, but guess what? Guess how they'll fall apart? Honestly. Without any lies, without pretending, without carrying shame alone. That's something that men have been reaching toward for centuries. For centuries. I just want you to get how serious this is. It's not about domination. That is not what masculinity is about. It's not about applause or control. It's just about the ability to stand inside of your own life without any armor. To look out into your own soul and see no enemies, even the ones that you failed to save yourself from. Right. That's what it's really about. To love without bargaining for your own dignity. Right. To fail without disappearing from yourself. To finally rest without earning somebody else's permission. How long you been fighting for somebody else's permission? I just want you to understand. The deepest hunger of a human is not to become unbreakable. It's to stop pretending that you never broke at all.